Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's having a wonderful beginning to your year. I am, and sending you guys all the love. Let me hold on. I've got to pause this. I've got some. Here we go. All right. So today I wanted to do this little mini training about procrastination. The biggest thing that I've had clients saying to me is that they struggle with follow through, and that's the biggest challenge that they have with adapting new habits and things like that, which of course is normal, right? Because it takes a lot of practice to gain a new habit. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. This all has to do with tenacity and how to build tenacity, really, because to overcome procrastination or lack of follow through, if we let ourselves down, I guess, is what we're doing when we do this. If we let ourselves down in our life over and over again and we want to become more tenacious, that's what I'm talking about today. If you don't already know me, my name's Jeray Pearson. I'm a holistic health coach. Holistic health takes into account and advocates for the interconnectedness of our mind, body, and our spirit, because they all go together. And just by working one or the other, we strengthen each of our aspects of our being. So say hi when you hop on. I would love to talk to you about this throughout the video, and you're more than welcome to ask questions as we go along as well. So I've got some notes here that I'm going to be looking at as well. And I brought some resources for you guys. So this isn't just the 5 steps from procrastination and self-sabotage to tenaciously unstoppable. I have a few tools that I have used in my growth that have been really helpful that I will share with you guys. So all right, so I'm going to start with those. There's a few resources, just the top 2 that come to my mind that have helped me overcome some of this stuff. Is the 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins is an amazing book. She, in that book, talks all about a tool that she uses to overcome procrastination or to pull herself even out of depression. She wrote the book based on a deep depression that she was in, and she was really struggling to get out of bed every day, and that was what the 5-second rule came about. It was a countdown. It's like the launching of a space shuttle was where she got it from. So it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you do it, right? So that's what that book is all about. Highly recommend it. There's also the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, of course, by Stephen Covey. That is this book right here. Also, of course, one of the best as far as becoming successful in your habits and changing habits and that sort of thing. So I am going to start off a little bit with what he has to say. So he acknowledges that that we have to have multiple things in order to manifest a successful habit. So there has to be multiple things going on there, and those are, you have to have the knowledge, the skills, and the desire. And he breaks it down in a kind of a cool little way that lets you see what I'm talking about, what I'm going to talk about a little bit here. So you have to understand what you're doing and why really you're doing it. So, what is it going to take? And then why are you doing it, of course? And then you have to want it. And that's usually where most people stop. But there's also a how-to component that we can miss. A lot of the times we feel like habits are something that we should just that should come pretty naturally to us because we just want to shift up a pattern in our life, and it seems like just wanting to do that should be enough. It should follow us through. But there's a big educational component in this, because until we kind of learn the tricks, we're hitting our head up against a wall, and we're always fighting harder than we have to in order to do things. So a lot of the times, we'll be attempting to do something for a long time, and then someone comes along who has this really, a way to summarize it, a way to ease what we're, the struggle a little bit. And then we're like, oh, okay. And then it changes everything. And so that's what the educational component really is. And that's why I coach, honestly. This is what I do in my groups and in my programs is, teach people how to make the process easier so that they don't give up and so that they can stay, stick with it and stay tenacious in that. So the these two books are fantastic. I'm going to read actually just this one little part to you guys. Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People says it's sometimes a painful process. It's a change that has to be motivated by a higher purpose, by the willingness to subordinate what you think you want now for what you want later. But this process produces happiness, the object and design of our existence. Happiness can be defined in part, at least, as the fruit of the desire and ability to sacrifice what we want now for what we want eventually. So I thought that was really powerful because he talks about, that happiness is such a huge part of accomplishing our habits and our shifts. It is what ultimately makes us happy. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we resist some of this here in a little bit with the mindset patterns that we have about sacrifice and about, mostly sacrifice and then discipline, how they correlate to each other. But so I'm going to get going now on some of my little tips that I've got for you guys. Like I was just saying, for me, this is one of the missing links for everybody is educate yourself on the thing that you want to work on the habit you want to change or whatever it is. Even the simplest habits, that seem like we don't have a lot to learn, can drastically change with some education. For example, fitness. If we feel like fitness is something that we can't stick with, or getting up at 5 a.m. every day, we can't do this every day consistently. So the education component of it is finding out if that's the fitness you really need to be doing for yourself. Are there other options as far as fitness goes? How can you make it a shorter process? Are there different exercises you could be doing instead of an hour long? Could you condense this into a half-hour session? Things like that. Sometimes we will assume things because we just don't know. And so we will do things the hard way without realizing. Same with nutrition. I teach a whole course on simplifying the cooking process and saving money and things because we tell ourselves that it costs more and it takes a lot of time in order to clean eat. But I know for a fact, I don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I can do this in 20 or 30 minutes. I know what to have on hand to make clean foods taste really good in a hurry and things like that. And so people come to me and they're thinking it's impossible and it's this hard, really hard mountain to overcome. And it's, a lot of the times it's just, we just don't know. So that's what I'm talking about with educating yourself on the thing, whatever it may be. If you've been unsuccessful multiple times, there's something missing in that chart that I just showed you, the what, the why, the how, or the want to, the desire. So do you want it really bad as well? That's something that sometimes we feel like we want it, but we're really not putting that desire behind it. So all right, so the second one is call yourself. Don't be afraid to call yourself out on your crap, when you disappoint yourself or whatever. Don't be afraid to call yourself out on it. And what I mean by this is the easy thing isn't always what's healthy. And we will know this in our mind. We will know, that we're doing something that's unhealthy or we should be doing something that's healthy, but we just don't want to stick to it. And so we'll stop ourselves, we'll talk ourselves out of it. And a lot of the times that's where we leave it. And I just compel you guys to call yourself out on it. Realize that this is an issue that you have. Tenacity is the first lesson in acquiring any new habit. I say this all the time, over and over again in my coaching. Tenacity is the lesson a lot of the times in itself. So just becoming a consistent person is a lot of the times what's missing in acquiring a new habit. It's not usually, it isn't, if somebody has a struggle acquiring one habit, they usually struggle in a lot of different habits in their life. And it's because it's that lack of tenacity inside that they're missing. So, be aware if your decisions and your daily day-to-day choices or your habits are in alignment with what you really want for your health and wellness, because those two things have to line up. You can't just want it. You have to want it, and you have to also acknowledge what's going on behind the scenes with everything else. So where are they out of alignment, and then figure that out, and then it'll just start shifting your mindset. So a lot of these mindset things take some time of continually calling yourself out on it, being like, okay, I know that this is a habit that I do, and I did it again, and making that commitment to yourself over again. And then well, this leads perfectly into the next one, which is give whatever you're attempting a chance to really change your mind about it. Because we sometimes will tell ourselves that it really sucks, whatever it is, the fitness or the whatever it is really sucks, but we're not giving our, like with fitness, we're not giving our body a chance to really feel how good it feels. This is something I try and get people to do stretching as a first step if they're completely out of fitness, because the 10 or 15 minutes of the stretching and being mindful while they're stretching can feel really good, and it can start shifting the way that they see fitness and the way that they see their bodies, and appreciate, feel grateful for their bodies and what they're capable to do when they're healthy. So that's a big mindset shift. I talk about as healthy as possible mindset. That's what I'm talking about here with our bodies. Realize that, when you stretch and you get your blood flowing, you are healthier. You are increasing your health for that day. You're increasing your blood flow, you're detoxifying, increasing your heart rate helps, all of those things, right? So it is helping your health, which is in alignment then with what you want and what your desire is for yourself. Let me make sure I'm not skipping anything before I move ahead. So, stick with it as long as it takes to get a little bit of accomplishment, so that you can feel proud of yourself for sticking with it and being tenacious in that a little bit as well. This has been something I've always struggled with, was the follow through and the sticking with it, and all, to acquire the habit eventually. And when you start overcoming some of these things and acknowledging, you start shifting the paradigm of how you see yourself. So you start becoming, instead of, however you may have framed yourself before, whether it was lazy or whatever, it usually has something to do with lazy if you aren't following through. That's what we tell ourselves. And like I just explained, it's not laziness, it's that we're missing one of these key elements. If we can start accomplishing a few things, then we start reframing ourselves, and that doesn't define us anymore. We're no longer that person. We get to be, we get to be tenacious. We get to be a warrior or a powerful, person. However you feel, you can embrace this, but embrace it. Really do embrace it, so that you can start shifting that. Another thing about this is having things hanging over your head. So when you procrastinate, or you want to get something done and you don't, like say you miss your morning workout, even you have it planned for the morning and you miss it. I have talked clients into temporarily saying, okay, if I miss my morning workout, I have to do it at night. And what does that do for them? That really changes. They don't want to have that hanging over their head anymore. It's just like anything we procrastinate, filing taxes or anything that we procrastinate. We don't want to have that. It's stressful. It leaches into other areas of our life when we have things hanging over our head. So take that into account as well as you're accomplishing things. So as you overcome these things and as you are tenacious about things, be sure that you are making, giving yourself a pat on the back and saying that's what you're doing, and you're, like I said, shifting your mindset then into who you're gonna be instead of who you may feel you have been. So then we've got, this is the last one. So in my courses, and I have this 14-week coming up, 14-week intensive holistic nutrition program coming up. Holistic health, actually, not just nutrition, but it's a heavily focused nutrition. Acknowledging how you really feel about restriction and discipline determines, a lot of your success. So, restriction is one that, I'm a high vibe coach. And so I come across this resistance with people because they feel that restriction lowers their vibe, or it's not a high vibe thing when you are restricting yourself. And I get this because I was a keto type coach for a long time. And so I was, kind of on the extreme on some of the restriction stuff with that, which was really hard for people, and it did affect their mindsets. And so I understand some of this. I get it. But discipline, I'm going to kind of leave you guys with what I quoted from the book. And if you're just joining me, I'm talking about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What I just quoted from the book with you guys is, it takes doing the thing right now to get to the future that you want. And when we are, so I believe in a higher self. I'm very, very spiritual, and I believe that I'm sort of trying to live into my higher self as much as possible. So with me, I can't do that if I'm holding myself back with excuses. And in my opinion, this is something that we've learned to be an excuse for us, is staying high vibe all the time and whatever. I wouldn't have gone to college for 7 years if I was always trying to stay high vibe. It was the first time I ever had panic attacks and anxiety attacks as a chemistry major, senior year of college. That was not easy. That was not something that I was really excited to do every day, 12 hours a day and whatever. But I couldn't teach. I couldn't give what I'm giving now to everybody if I wouldn't have done that. I couldn't live my dreams. I couldn't feel fulfilled the way that I do today. And so it's worth every bit of that along the way. So let's not get caught up on that, wanting to make everything easy all the time. We have to acknowledge that things aren't easy, and really the most rewarding things that we get in our life come from a sense of accomplishment and restriction. So, this is why we do a lot of what we do, why I do a week of holistic healing every month in my group, is because if we spend a week being very mindful, cutting things out that aren't serving us, and including things that are serving us, and really getting in touch with how that makes us feel and how it affects our life and whatever, we're able to up level at that, because of that. And so don't necessarily look at restriction as it's always a bad thing, or that because it's definitely not holding you back from accomplishing anything. What holds us back from accomplishing anything is being willing to be a little bit uncomfortable now and then in order to improve our situation. So, acknowledge your feelings about restriction and discipline, and don't let high vibe be an excuse to stay complacent, because complacency, it isn't high vibe, or just as much as I think settling in our life isn't very high vibe, right? So high vibe to me means continually trying to be happier in life and improve. So that's how I feel about it anyway. I hope you guys do as well. So I have this 14-week coming up. You're all invited. I'm not going to go into detail on it because I know if you're interested in improving your habits and your mindset and your self-care routines, then you're probably familiar with my program by now. And if you're not, I will drop a link in so that you guys can check that out. Like I said, I would love to have you. And I'm starting Monday to get our pre-work going because we start officially next Saturday. So, all right, you guys. Always here holding space for you. Reach out if you need anything. As always, I've got two one-on-one spaces open right now, and that's all I'm opening up for this year because of the programs I have coming out. I have my whole year planned almost my whole year planned as far as programs go. All my big programs are planned out for the rest of the year. I'm just going to be filling it in with things that you guys need. So as I get feedback from my audience, that's how these videos come about, and my mini programs, my free mini programs and stuff. So always looking for feedback. When you share a post of mine, it lets me know that it's a topic you're interested in, and it helps me choose what I teach. So, all right, have a wonderful day. I think I've said enough. I love you all.